There are certain words a man can say that instantly flip a woman's perception of him. You might think you're being honest, vulnerable, or even charming, but in reality, you're cutting straight through her attraction and killing it on the spot. And the crazy part? Most men don't even realize they're doing it. They'll drop a casual comment thinking it's harmless, and then wonder why the energy suddenly shifts, why her eyes glaze over, why she suddenly seems colder. Here's the truth. Attraction isn't always lost because of what you do. Sometimes it's destroyed because of what you say. Women are constantly scanning a man's words for clues, subtle signals about who he really is. Every sentence tells her something. How confident you are, how much you value yourself, whether she can look up to you or not. And the scary part? One slip up, one weak phrase, and she silently files you into the not my man category before you even realize what happened. That's how brutal attraction can be. Because for women, words aren't just words. They're windows into your mindset. And here's where most men get it wrong. They think being real means sharing every thought or fear. They think pouring out their struggles or over-explaining themselves will make her understand them better. Wrong. Women don't want a running diary of your insecurities. They don't want to feel like your therapist. What they crave, even if they can't always explain it, is a man who knows when to speak and when to hold back. Because sometimes, the things you choose not to say reveal more strength than 1,000 nervous confessions ever could. So in this video, I'm breaking down the exact phrases and admissions you must avoid at all costs. If you've ever wondered why she lost interest after what felt like a great connection, chances are it was something you said. So stay with me until the end. This isn't just another dating video. This is a lesson in psychological mastery. By the end of this, you'll know how to speak with power, how to communicate value, and how to make your words pull her closer, not push her away. Because attraction starts with energy, but it's maintained through language. And if you can master what to say and what not to say, you'll become the kind of man who commands respect and admiration without even trying. Let's begin. 1. I can't live without you. Few phrases destroy attraction faster than a man looking a woman in the eye and saying, I can't live without you. At first it might sound romantic, even cinematic, like something out of a love story, but to a woman it signals something far more damaging. It screams weakness. It tells her that your entire sense of identity, your emotional stability, and your self-worth are tied to her presence. And once she feels that weight on her shoulders, the attraction she once felt for you starts to evaporate. Quietly, slowly, but completely. Here's the cold truth. Women are drawn to men who are complete on their own. They want to join a man's life, not become his life. When you tell her she's the only reason you're breathing, you don't inspire passion. You create pressure, and pressure kills desire. Suddenly, she doesn't feel like your partner anymore. She feels like your lifeline, like your entire happiness is something she has to maintain, and nothing kills attraction faster than being treated like an emotional crutch. A man who says, I can't live without you, is unconsciously admitting something deeper. He's lost control over his own existence. It's not love, it's dependency. And while dependency might sound sweet in a movie, in real life it feels suffocating. Sure, at first a woman might play along. It flatters her ego to know you're obsessed, but as time passes, it starts to drain her. She begins to wonder, if I leave, will he collapse? Will he fall apart? Is he really this fragile? And once those thoughts enter her mind, attraction is gone. Not because she's heartless, but because she can't respect a man who doesn't respect his own strength. Strong men flip the script. They never say, I can't live without you. Instead, their presence communicates, my life is full, it's meaningful, it's strong, and with you it's even better. See the difference? One version drags her into your emotional cage, the other invites her into your castle. One makes her pity you, the other makes her respect you. Think about the men women fantasize about, the leaders, the athletes, the men who command attention when they walk into a room. Do you think those men ever say, I can't live without you? Never. Because they know their worth. They know that even if someone walks away, their life continues to expand. That quiet confidence is magnetic. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about showing that your world doesn't collapse without anyone's validation. When you tell a woman she's your oxygen, she'll eventually test you to see if it's true. And when she realizes you meant every word, she'll lose interest. But when she sees you're steady, independent, grounded, that you choose her instead of clinging to her, that's when she invests even deeper. So never make her your survival plan. Make her your choice, not your necessity. Because the man who doesn't need anyone is the man everyone wants to be with. There's nothing wrong with being human. Every man, no matter how confident he appears, has moments of doubt. But the second you sit across from a woman, lock eyes and say the words, "I'm so insecure," you've already dug yourself into a hole that's very hard to climb out of. What you think is honesty, she hears as instability. What you believe will win her sympathy ends up draining her attraction, because women don't just listen to what you say. They read between the lines. When you tell her you're insecure, she doesn't just hear that statement. She imagines living with it. She imagines the constant reassurance you'll demand, the jealousy over harmless conversations, the suspicion when she's late replying to a text. And in her mind, insecurity equals emotional labor. And emotional labor? That's the fastest way to make her lose interest. Here's what most men get wrong. They confuse vulnerability with emotional dumping. Vulnerability, when done right, is powerful. It's controlled. It's real. It shows emotional intelligence, the ability to express truth without begging for rescue. But insecurity, that's different. Insecurity says, "I'm broken. Please fix me." And the moment you hand that energy to a woman, she stops seeing you as a partner. She starts seeing you as a project. And no woman fantasizes about being a therapist to the man she's attracted to. When you tell a woman, "I'm so insecure," she might nod, she might comfort you, but deep down, she's losing respect. Because if she can't trust you to manage your own emotions, how can she trust you to lead a relationship? Let's make this crystal clear. There's a world of difference between saying, "I've been through struggles, but I'm working on myself," and "I'm insecure and I don't know what to do." The first statement shows awareness, growth, and direction. That's strength. The second one shows fragility. That's weakness. Insecurity forces her into the role of caretaker. Confidence inspires her to lean into your frame. Women want a man who stands tall in his world, a man who knows he has flaws but doesn't let those flaws define him. If you hand her your insecurities to carry, she'll start wondering whether you can carry her. And once that question enters her mind, the attraction begins to fade. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean you fake perfection. It means you show direction. You show progress, not paralysis. Imagine saying, "I used to struggle with confidence, but I've learned to channel that into growth." That's powerful. It communicates evolution, that you're becoming a better version of yourself every day. Women don't fall for perfection. They fall for certainty. She doesn't need you to be flawless, but she needs to feel that you believe in yourself. Because if you can't hold that belief, she can't either. So never hand her your insecurities on a silver platter. Work on them privately. Strengthen yourself daily. And when you show up, let her meet the man who owns his journey, not the one who's drowning in self-doubt. Because a man who's building himself is far more attractive than a man who's begging to be built. 3. Other girls want me. Now this one, it's a trap that far too many men fall into. And they think it's clever. A man sits across from a woman and says, "Other girls want me." Thinking it'll spark jealousy. Thinking it'll make her chase harder. But in reality, it makes her cringe. Because nothing screams insecurity louder than a man trying to convince a woman that he's in demand. If you actually have options, you never need to announce it. Your confidence, your energy, your focus, and your lifestyle already communicate it for you. When you tell a woman, "Other girls want me," she doesn't hear strength. She hears desperation. She hears a man trying to prove his value instead of embodying it. And the moment she senses that you're using other women to impress her, she silently files you under immature. Attraction isn't built on bragging, it's built on certainty. Think about it like this. A king doesn't walk through his castle shouting about how many people admire him. Everyone already knows. Real power is silent. Real confidence is unspoken. When you have true abundance, you don't flaunt it. You radiate it. On the flip side, when you use this line, it does the exact opposite of what you want. It plants doubt. She starts thinking, why is he telling me this? Is he trying to manipulate me? Is he testing me? And once she senses emotional games, attraction turns into caution. Educated, emotionally intelligent women, especially in the US, can read this behavior instantly. And to them, it doesn't say high value. It says insecure boy trying to prove he's valuable. Men of true status don't chase approval, they attract it naturally. When you focus on your growth, your fitness, your finances, your mission, women notice. They feel your energy without you saying a word. You become magnetic because you're grounded. The truth is simple. Women already assume that men of quality have options. If she's attracted to you, she already knows that other women probably are too. The worst thing you can do is destroy that assumption by rubbing it in her face. It doesn't make her want you more. It makes her wonder if you're emotionally immature. So instead of saying, other girls want me, let your life make that statement for you. Show up with confidence. Lead with purpose. Hold yourself to high standards. Let your actions speak so loudly that your words become unnecessary. Because when she sees your calm self-assurance, when she sees that you don't need to compete for validation, her respect for you grows exponentially. Bottom line, if you really have options, you'll never feel the need to announce it. And if you feel the urge to brag, that's your cue that there's still work to do inside. Because real men don't prove their value, they live it. Money. It's one of the most sensitive topics in any relationship, but also one of the most misunderstood. When a man constantly tells a woman, I'm broke and struggling, he's not just sharing his financial condition, he's revealing his emotional state. And whether he realizes it or not, that simple phrase silently destroys her sense of security and begins to erode her attraction. Now, let's make something clear. Women don't expect every man to be rich. They don't need you to be a millionaire. But what they do expect is stability, direction, and a mindset that says, I'll figure it out. Because that mindset, not money, is what makes her feel safe around you. Let's bring this to life. Imagine a man named James. James is dating a woman who genuinely cares for him. She's not with him for money. She's with him because she loves his humor, his drive, his energy. But over time, something starts to shift. Every dinner, James sighs and says, I can't afford that. Every weekend he mutters, life's too hard. I'm struggling at first, she reassures him. She says it's okay. She believes in him. But little by little, those words, that constant narrative of defeat, start to change the way she sees him. Instead of seeing a man she admires, she starts seeing a man who's stuck, a man who feels powerless, a man whose life is defined by limitation, not potential. You see, women don't lose attraction because you aren't rich. They lose attraction because you sound defeated. James could have been broke but still magnetic if he had simply said, I'm building right now. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm grinding. I'll get there. That one shift changes everything. It replaces pity with pride. It replaces fear with faith. It shows her a man who has vision, and vision is infinitely more attractive than money. Here's the truth. A man without money but with purpose inspires loyalty, but a man who complains without progress inspires distance. When you tell a woman, I'm broke and struggling, over and over again, you strip away her confidence in you as a leader. She starts picturing a future of bills, stress, and struggle. and no matter how much she cares for you, her biology kicks in. A woman's deepest instinct is to seek stability. When she stops feeling that from you, her heart begins to pull away. But when you reframe that same truth, when you say, I'm not there yet, but I'm moving forward, she feels inspired. She feels included in your mission, not buried in your problems. Think about every great man you know, every success story that started from zero. What kept their women by their side wasn't the paycheck. It was the passion. It was the conviction that I'm going to make something happen. So if you want to keep her attraction, stop saying I'm broke. Start saying I'm building. Show her progress. Show her purpose. Because women don't fall in love with money. They fall in love with momentum. 5. Please don't leave me. Now we're diving into one of the most emotional, but also the most destructive phrases a man can say. Few words drain attraction faster than hearing a man plead, please don't leave me. On the surface it sounds heartfelt, emotional, vulnerable, but underneath it, it's pure fear. It's the energy of a man who's lost his self-respect, who's given away his emotional power, and who's clinging to something he's already losing. Women aren't repelled by emotion, but they are repelled by desperation. Because desperation feels like pressure, and no one wants to be loved out of fear of being alone. When a man begs, he sends one clear message. My life depends on you. He's handing her the keys to his identity. He's saying, without you, I have no structure. And that destroys attraction instantly. Because women don't want to be your strength. They want to feel your strength. Think about what she really hears when you say, please don't leave me. She hears, I've lost my center. I've lost my boundaries. I've lost myself. And no woman can respect or stay attracted to a man who's abandoned his self-respect just to keep her close. Now let's flip this. A strong man doesn't beg. He communicates from calm certainty. He says through his words and energy, I want you here, but I'll be fine no matter what. That's not arrogance. That's emotional control. That's leadership. It shows her that your value doesn't depend on her validation. That you choose her, but don't need her. And that shift changes everything. Because when a woman sees that you won't crumble without her, she actually respects you more. Your calm makes her feel safe. Your steadiness makes her feel grounded. And paradoxically, the less you beg to keep her, the more she wants to stay. Let's talk about boundaries. If she threatens to leave out of manipulation or drama, the worst thing you can do is plead. The best thing you can do is calmly say, if this doesn't feel right for you, I understand. But I won't stay in something that isn't right for me either. That's confidence. That's emotional maturity. That's the kind of strength that commands respect, not pity. Here's the truth. Women don't stay because you beg them to. They stay because they respect you. Respect is the foundation of attraction, and begging destroys it. So drop the phrase, please don't leave me forever. Replace it with presence, calmness, and standards. Because a man who can stand tall in the face of loss is the man she'll never want to lose. I don't know what I want. Few things turn a woman off faster than hearing a man say, I don't know what I want. On the surface, it might sound honest, even humble. But to her, those words hit differently. They don't sound like vulnerability, they sound like confusion. And confusion, to a woman, equals instability. Women aren't drawn to men who drift. They're drawn to men who decide. A man without direction doesn't inspire. He unsettles. He makes her feel unsafe, not because he's dangerous, but because he's uncertain. Picture this. You're sitting across from her at dinner. She asks a simple question. So, where do you see yourself in the next few years? You pause, shrug, and mumble, I don't know. In that moment, you think you're being real, but in her mind, she's already checking out. Not because you don't have all the answers, but because you don't even have a vision. Here's the truth. Women don't need a man who's arrived. They need a man who's on his way. They crave the energy of conviction, the quiet certainty that says, I may not have it all figured out, but I'm going somewhere. That's what builds attraction. That's what builds trust. When you say, I don't know what I want, she hears, I'm drifting. I have no mission. I'm waiting for life to happen to me. But when you reframe that same truth, when you say, I'm building myself right now. I'm focused on growth, and I know what I don't want. Anything that slows me down. Everything changes. Now she sees a man with direction, a man steering his ship, not floating aimlessly. Certainty isn't perfection, isn't. It's clarity, and clarity is magnetic. Even if you don't have the exact map, show that you're moving with intention, because women aren't attracted to your current position. They're attracted to your trajectory. They don't fall in love with the man who's figured it all out. They fall in love with the man who refuses to stay stuck. So cut the phrase, I don't know what I want. Replace it with purpose. Replace it with movement. Replace it with vision. Because a man without direction creates doubt, but a man with conviction creates desire. 7. You're too good for me. At first, this one sounds sweet, even romantic. A man looks at a woman and says, You're too good for me. He believes he's giving her a compliment. He thinks he's being humble. But in truth, he's planting the seed of his own rejection, because that phrase doesn't elevate her. It lowers you. It tells her you don't see your own value. It tells her you've put her on a pedestal. And the moment you do that, the balance of attraction collapses. When a man says, You're too good for me, he unknowingly flips the roles. He becomes the praiser instead of the prize. And women are never attracted to a man who worships them more than he respects himself. Let's imagine a scenario. A man named Daniel starts dating a woman who's smart, elegant, and successful. He admires her deeply. But instead of standing tall beside her, he keeps saying, You're too good for me. At first, she laughs it off. She tells him not to be silly. But over time, something subtle happens. She begins to believe him. She starts to wonder. If he doesn't think he's good enough, maybe he really isn't. And just like that, the dynamic changes. Daniel thought he was complimenting her, but what he really did was convince her that he's beneath her. Women mirror the way you see yourself. If you treat yourself as unworthy, she'll eventually see you that way too. A confident man never says, You're too good for me. Instead, he says, I'm glad we're together. We bring out the best in each other. See the difference? One phrase communicates lack, the other communicates balance. One says, I'm beneath you. The other says, we're equals, powerful together. Women don't want a man who worships them. They want a man who inspires them, a man who admires their strength while standing firmly in his own. When you hold your ground, when you move through life knowing your worth, she relaxes into your energy, because she knows she's with someone who doesn't need to shrink to make her shine. Never forget this truth. Confidence isn't about thinking you're better than her. It's about knowing you're enough. The moment you stop chasing approval and start standing in self-respect, everything shifts. You'll stop attracting temporary attention and start commanding lasting admiration. Final message plus strong call to action. Men, every phrase we've covered in this series reveals one universal law of attraction. Respect is the foundation of desire. A woman might be drawn to your looks, your humor, or your charm, but she stays for your strength, your self-control, and your sense of direction. Never hand your power away through weak words. Every sentence you speak is either adding to your value or subtracting from it. So from this day forward, speak with intention. Speak with calm certainty. Speak like a man who knows who he is and where he's going. Because when your words carry strength, your presence carries weight. And when your presence carries weight, the world leans in to listen. Call to action. If this video opened your eyes, don't let it stop here. Hit like, subscribe, and comment below. I speak with power. Join a community of men who are mastering psychology, attraction, and purpose. One video at a time. Because remember, you don't need to chase love, you need to embody it. And when you live with purpose, calm, and self-respect, love, success, and admiration naturally follow.